That editors are intimidated, journalists are intimidated, reporters are intimidated. You saw what happened in Kawempe. You're beaten like small balls.
To our guest of honor, who just gave a very classic example of the bad being in our hands. I would love to say, Honorable Hamson Obo, I think the bad has been shifted in your hands, and I feel like you're suffocating it to die. And I'm looking forward to a day that you will let that bird fly.
The person who has a bird in their hands, they are squeezing it so hard that even now we are facing more self-censorship than regulation. And this is why. Because of the issues someone has talked about, I don't want to repeat any of them.
These are some of the issues raised by journalists regarding the mistreatment and misconduct against their profession. But what's happening and what has been happening over time?
A lot of intimidation. Isiano, I'm happy to see you take pictures. Welcome back from the hospital bed.
All of you journalists who are here and sympathizers, we are all at war.
When we look at a number of events where journalists have been brutalized, the list is endless. You might be asking yourself, when do these acts of brutality always happen and why?
Here we are. That is our situation, unfortunately. And going in the last election, I was still in FDC, I have left. I was responsible for heading nomination teams for 3 elections. In the last election, we were supposed to begin with a prayer at Najanankombe. The candidate was kidnapped 2 kilometers before Najanankombe and taken.
One, I'm giving specific examples. And these stories tallied with what the observers saw. So the observers were at polling stations and discovered that the wrong ballots had been delivered at Nalukolongo TC polling station.
That we had in Kawempe, where you saw yourself, journalists being beaten by men in uniform in your government, commandeered by the chief military people, targeting journalists who are wearing the word called press with a microphone and cameras, and they are beaten, some of them battered and some of them broken. You're squeezing a life out of them.
Journalists are the mirrors of society, information givers, but not only brutality. Journalists face other challenges like poor pay or no pay at all.
We have a challenge of the poor pay of the journalists. I don't want to say that only journalists that report from Parliament are well off, but you'll see that we also have journalists that are not well off. Because the journalists are not paid by Parliament, but they're paid by the different media associations. And you'll see that a journalist is paid per story.
And even this poor pay sometimes takes months to come. This is unacceptable. These journalists generate revenue for your companies through their work. Please remunerate them adequately. I know your president was shy, so he pointed the guns elsewhere. He said, Parliament, help us, and so on. And we've got a part to play. We've got to raise our voices like I'm doing now. But media houses, let's get serious. Stop exploiting some of these young people. You send them to do a story, you've not given them transport. But the media houses, I don't know how many miles away, and you're sending them, whether it be to Parliament or wherever. What you want is a story. The fellow has no transport, has no lunch. They've not been paid for 3, 5, 6 months. And you expect a story. What's wrong with you?
Well, these are some of the issues discussed between media practitioners, stakeholders, opposition leaders, government representatives, and journalists ahead of the World Press Freedom Day. In response, Julius Muchunguzi, the spokesperson for the Electoral Commission, underscored the importance of being a citizen first before anything else as one follows the Constitution.
Not the subject. And this constitution, which guides all of us, because we still go by it, lists some of the duties of a citizen. One of them or two of them are related to the work the journalists do. And it says in the policy objectives that accordingly it shall be the duty of every citizen, and we are all citizens, not journalists first, citizens first. Journalists or professions come second. Many of them, they say, to be patriotic and loyal to Uganda and to promote its well-being, to contribute the well-being of the community where the citizen lives, to foster national unity and harmony, to promote democracy and rule of law, and to acquaint ourselves with the Constitution. The reason why I'm contextualizing to answer your question is that we should not lose sight, and that at every point when we are doing the work that we do as journalists, our citizenship should come first.
However, Muchunguzi is against the issue of beating journalists and assures a free and fair election ahead of 2026.
Kisooka akakiiko k'ebyokulonda katwala bannamawulire nga bamu ku abo abokola omulimu gwa nkizo mu kulaba nti Uganda n'Abannayuganda bafuna akalulu akeerufu ak'emirembe kebenyumirizaamu. Tetusobola kusuubira oba okulowooza kubeerako n'akalulu akeerufu ke tweyagaliramu nga ab'amawulire tebalina mirembe gye bakoleramu okulaba nti batuusa obubaka obwetaaga okutuukibwa ku bantu nga tebakyekubiira ate nga tebala bakwatamu ku mukono.
Honorable Hamson Oboa, the government chief whip, who was also the chief guest, brought to attention journalists the current state of freedom of expression and that of a time ago.
And it is a day we also celebrate the milestones we have made and the journey. One of our former presidents is quoted to have said, "There is freedom of speech, but I cannot guarantee freedom after speech." And I believe if he was still the one superintending over the country by the time I entered, and I found my good brother, the Honorable Semuju, on the floor, I do not know whether his right after speech would be guaranteed. But under this arrangement, his right of speech is guaranteed. His right after speech, we are all here, you have all recorded what he has said, is guaranteed. He is going to walk out of this conference hall. If he has not yet had breakfast, he will enjoy to the maximum. The time for lunch will come, he will equally enjoy. But this is the journey where we are coming from.
Oboa also urged journalists to promote unity so that they will be able to speak with one voice.
The life of that bird is in your hand. You can decide to squeeze it and it will die. You can decide to release it and it will fly. On this note, let me state that the future of press freedom with engagement with the different stakeholders is in your hand as the practitioners. You can either choose to squeeze it and you will kill it. My last message, that unite and fight for a good cause and choose your battles, just like they say in the 48 laws of power.
Naguja Serena in STV.